What's up, everybody? Happy New Year! It's your man Richard Prophet, and welcome back to the Prophet Realty Group channel. I hope everybody's having a great 2017 so far. I know I am, and I'm glad to be back here talking with you guys. Now, that being said, let me say that I want to start doing something new here on the channel. For those of you who don't know, I read a lot of books, and people are always asking me, hey, Prophet, what's the latest book you read? Yo, Rich, what book are you reading now? So what I'm going to do is any book that I'm reading and I get inspired by, I'm going to put it up here on the channel, make a video out of it, show you what it is so that you can pick it up and get inspired as well. Now, this is a book that I've just finished and I love it. This book is amazing. It's a business book. It's a self-help book. It's a how-to book, and it names names. All right. Without further ado, bang! Brazilianaires by Alex Kudros. Wealth, Power, Decadence, and Hope in an American Country. Now you might say, hey, Prophet, wait a minute. Brazilianaires, doesn't that mean Brazilian billionaires? What do you mean by hope in an American country? That's the irony of the book. That speaks of the Brazilian dream. The Brazilian dream is the American dream, which is capitalism, the land of opportunity. The dream of, even though maybe you started out with humble beginnings, with hard work and perseverance, you can rise up above your beginnings and become actually whatever you want to be in this country. Now, the book goes in and talks about several different billionaires in several different, lines of business, fields of business in Brazil. But one billionaire that they talk about in particular, I was particularly interested in. I was already a fan, and I couldn't really find out his story anywhere. And boom, here goes this book. And they really get into his story in depth. Now, if you're a student of business, if you read the Forbes list, if you're a fan of billionaires, you have definitely heard of Ike Batista, the Brazilian billionaire. He was number 8 on the Forbes list, and he made claims to Carlos Slim, who was the number 1 on the Forbes list, the richest man in the world. At the time, Ike would say to him, hey, tell Carlos to check his side view mirrors and check his rear view mirror because I'm going to pass him and to become the richest man in the world. He even put a date on it. He said by 2015, I would have $100 billion. And at that time, he had over $35 billion. And he said, by 2015, I'm going to have $100 billion and I'm going to surpass Carlos Slim as the richest man in the world. Now, this book gets into his business life and it gets deep into his personal life. He was married to a Playboy playmate. She was the carnival queen, Luma. They had 2 sons. One of the sons, Thor, the first son, got into a car accident. It was a highly publicized car accident. Because someone was actually killed during the accident while Thor was driving a $500,000 silver McLaren. And that was big news in Brazil. And, they talk about that. They talk about the trial. They talk about his relationship. I mean, the book really gets in depth about Ike Batista, which I appreciated because I was very interested in him. I think he's an interesting character. He brought 5 companies public and raised over $35 billion. And here's the kicker. The 5 companies he brought public and raised over $35 billion never made a profit, never made any money. It was all smoke and mirrors. It was all salesmanship. It was all showmanship. I mean, to me, Ike is today's version of P.T. Barnum. He was a magician. he had a knack of, taking his vision, putting it up on a PowerPoint screen, and making you see his vision, which is a phenomenal talent, because a lot of times the number one problem with business people today, with visionaries today, is raising money. To try to make someone else see your vision is extremely hard. Most people are very negative, and they just can't see it. They lack imagination. And he is just amazing at that. He could somehow take his vision and make you see it, which worked out for him. He raised over $35 billion. But, he lost it all. In 1 year, he went from being number 8 on the Forbes list to losing his fortune and having to go bankrupt. It's crazy, but it's all covered in the book. Like I said, this is a great book, whether you're a fan of Ike, whether you're a fan of Billionaires, whether you're just a student of business, or you're just looking for an engaging book to read. This is it. Pick it up. I'll give you a little passage from the book to show you what I mean. I didn't have a highlighter, so I folded a lot of things in the book. I know I shouldn't have. Don't do that. Get yourself a highlighter. Let me read you a little verse from the book here. One of the ones I like. Okay. Whatever his reverence for the American business tradition, Ike didn't feel the need to flatter its greatest exemplars. When a reporter asked what he thought of Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, he scoffed and said the difference between him and them was that Gates built just one company and Buffett acquired other people's companies on the cheap. I create things from zero, Ike said. I knew that some people thought he was a megalomaniac. That doesn't bother me, he wrote in his book. In the right proportion, a bit of megalomania or daring is recommended. No successful entrepreneur doesn't have at least a little. When the business proves viable, its creator is no longer a megalomaniac. He becomes a visionary. That is so true. Anybody in business knows how true that is. No matter what field you're in, no matter what field you started in, whenever you start a new business, a new venture, a new field, even a new job, people around you are going to be like, oh, that's not the field to get in right now. Oh, I don't think you should do that right now. Oh, you might flop. You're gonna lose your shirt. People are always so negative until you pop. And then once you pop, they're like, oh, I saw it from the beginning. I knew he was a visionary. And this book, they talk about that. They talk about all of that. They really go in depth about it. I really enjoyed the book, so pick it up. Now, how much does the book cost? It's not a cheap book. You see that? Book was $28. But you know what? I wanted to pick up the book for my family members. I wanted to buy 4 copies. So I decided to go online and look around. And I actually found it on Amazon for $16.55. Let me show you that. Which is a lot less than $28. So, that's a saving, it's $12 less than what it costs. So I put a link below in the description. Just go in the description, click on that. It'll take you right to Amazon. If you shopped on Amazon before, if you got Amazon Prime, you can have the book tomorrow. It's a great book. It's a must read. I think it's a must read. If you want to make some money, if you're interested in making money, or if you're in business, pick up the book, read it, come back to this video, leave me a comment, tell me what you thought about the book, and we'll talk about it. Bang!